Good evening. I'm Lynn Roth, your VFW Programs Director. Our Master of Ceremonies for this evening. Thank you. Our Master of Ceremonies for this evening is a comrade you all know very well. Please join me in welcoming a great veterans advocate and the Junior Vice Commander-in-Chief of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Tim Peters.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just swallowed my medication, so I think I'm going to take a drink of water. I'm trying to stay alive. That's not a joke. Good evening. Welcome to the 24th Annual VFW and Auxiliary Parade of Winners, featuring our Voice of Democracy and Patriot pin winners. Tonight, I have the privilege of being the Master of Ceremonies for this exciting event. The host for this evening is our Commander-in-Chief, Al Liphart, and VFW Auxiliary National President, Brenda Bryant. As we honor these outstanding young men and women who have advanced to the highest level possible of our Voice of Democracy and Patriots Pin Contest. At this time, I would like to ask that everyone please stand as I call upon the National Chaplain, Peter Hook, for the invocation. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem.
Almighty God, we pause at the beginning of our Parade of Winners program and thank you for giving us the blessing of gathering this evening and providing us the opportunity of sharing with these young students from across our nation and also with their families. Bless these young people with a continuing desire to grow in wisdom and understanding of their world, their fellow students, and themselves. Through their achievements, they have brought great honor to their parents, families, and the schools they attend. We ask your continued blessing on them, and may their participation in this great VFW program cause the candles lit in these young people to burn brightly in the days to come. Amen.
Veterans of Foreign Wars and Auxiliary, 10, up, cover. Honoring the flag of our nation, please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance, followed by our national anthem. Reset, up, I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Please be seated. Before these young men and women are presented, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our distinguished guests seated on the stage. First, a man whose dedication and service to our great country that ultimately resulted in his selection to lead this great organization, a position he fulfills with dignity, humility, integrity, and courage. The Chief's theme, "Follow Me," has renewed our commitment and focused our organization as we continue to our 125th year. From serving our country in the United States Army in Vietnam to the esteemed office he holds today, his thoughtfulness and determination have inspired us as we continue our service to our country through our membership in the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States and the VFW Auxiliary. It is indeed a high honor and distinct privilege for me to introduce to you the Commander-in-Chief of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, Al Liphart. From our roots to its branches, extending service to our veterans is more than just a slogan selected by the VFW Auxiliary this year. To the more than 470,000 auxiliary members, it represents the heart of their commitment to the veterans and the nation they love. We are pleased to have with us tonight the woman who selected that theme and has led our wonderful VFW Auxiliary since last August. It is my pleasure to present to you National President of VFW Auxiliary, Brenda Bryant. And seated in our audience, our National VFW and Auxiliary officers, our Council of Administration, past National Commanders-in-Chief, and past Auxiliary Presidents. You may all stand and be recognized, please. Tonight we'll recognize the national winner in a 28th Annual Patriots Pin Contest and witness the final results of our annual Voice of Democracy competition, the culmination of another successful year in the Voice of Democracy's program's long 78-year history. The Voice of Democracy program is sponsored jointly by the Veterans of Foreign Wars and the VFW Auxiliary and provides an exemplary opportunity for high school students to think, write, and articulate their thoughts on freedom and democracy. Is America Today Our Forefathers' Vision was the theme for this year's Voice of Democracy program. It asked students to reflect on their feelings about their country's future. I now ask the Commander-in-Chief and the National President to come forward to the center stage and prepare to welcome all of tonight's outstanding winners. Perfect. Before we officially begin, I have a few requests. In fairness to everyone, this is a large and enthusiastic crowd. We would appreciate your courteous attention to the introduction of the winners and their department officers. Please do not block or in any way interfere with the duties of our staff photographers. Pictures are, of course, allowed and encouraged, but please take your pictures in the areas immediately to my right and left of the stage. Remember, the students in auxiliary and department commanders, students, auxiliary presidents, and department commanders will be available after the program for additional pictures. The microphones are in my line of vision.
The first place National Patriots Pin winner from the Department of South Carolina, Evelyn Newbigging, escorted by Commander Janet Chisholm Richards and Auxiliary President Donna Marie King. And now for our National Voice of Democracy winners. And now for our Voice of Democracy winners again. From the Department of Alabama, Julianne Davis, escorted by Commander Eric Dudash. Ladies first. Brenda, grab her. From the Department of Alaska, Andrew Galt, escorted by Commander Ken Spiegel and Auxiliary President Charlotte Maynard. From the Department of Arizona, Madison Plant, escorted by Commander Jim McCormick and Auxiliary Member Sheila Eiler. From the Department of Arkansas, Caitlin Stearman, escorted by Commander Elwin Tate and Auxiliary President Becky Lamb. From the Department of California, Michael Hu, escorted by Commander Deb Johnson and Auxiliary President Sharonda Lewis. Go in cheering section. From the Department of Colorado, Noah Lorenz, escorted by Commander Carol Thomas and Auxiliary President Nadia Flores. From the Department of Connecticut, Nolan Howe, escorted by Commander Stan Borishevitz and Auxiliary President Catherine Fleischauer. From the Department of Delaware, Prishu Gar, escorted by Commander Willard Wood and Auxiliary President Sharon Leslie. From the Department of Europe, Meredith Maxwell, escorted by Senior Vice Commander John Casey. From the Department of Florida, Jackson Settle, escorted by Commander Glenn Wright and Auxiliary President Virginia Bramer. From the Department of Georgia, Rebecca Davis, escorted by Commander Joe Couch and Auxiliary President Belinda Baragna. From the Department of Hawaii, Michael Arnett Cook, escorted by Commander Ben Louis Fuwata and Auxiliary President Stanford Sharoma. Aloha! From the Department of Idaho, Antoine Taylor, escorted by Commander Joe Reener and Auxiliary President Denise Sampo. From the Department of Illinois, Joseph Martinez, escorted by Commander Maurice Bridges and Auxiliary President Cindy Waters. From the Department of Indiana, Samuel Dusek, escorted by Commander Corey Mahan and Auxiliary President Kathy Hankins. From the Department of Iowa, Emmett Jurgens, escorted by Commander Michael Young and Auxiliary President Renee Quinn. From the Department of Kansas, Connor Comerford, escorted by Commander Terry Fletcher and Auxiliary President Marcia LaRoche. From the Department of Kentucky, Bailey Hodge, escorted by Commander Bruce Ashley and Auxiliary President Bobby Waddle. From the Department of Louisiana, Ashlyn Rogers, escorted by Commander Debbie McElhen and past Auxiliary President Ella Wilson. From the Department of Maine, Daisy Sweat, escorted by Commander Anthony Kimball and Auxiliary President Lonwood Keller. From the Department of Maryland, Caleb Smith, escorted by Commander Joe Sicolo and Auxiliary President Deborah Sturgis. From the Department of Massachusetts, Amelia Borowski, escorted by Commander Jody Freitas and Auxiliary President Kelly Durkee Irwin. From the Department of Michigan, Marissa Zonnebelt, escorted by Commander Kimberly Napoleon. And District 11 President Vicky Bushong. From the Department of Minnesota, Ashton Jensen, escorted by Commander David Stalin and Auxiliary President Karen England. From the Department of Mississippi, Jose Garcia, escorted by Commander Richard Thornton and Auxiliary President Tanya Constant. From the Department of Missouri, Caitlin Wright, escorted by Commander Richard DePonte and Auxiliary President Amy Lett. From the Department of Montana, Laszlo Baumgartner is escorted by Commander Lonnie Johnson. From the Department of Nebraska, Madison Gumpert, escorted by Commander Ken Yount and Auxiliary President Carol Thompson. From the Department of Nevada, Gwendolyn Cressman is escorted by Commander Jerome Washington and Auxiliary President Marianne Burdan. From the Department of New Hampshire, Tree Boo. Unfortunately, Tree Boo is sitting at home dealing with an illness, but he's watching live right now. Commander Andrew Coro and Auxiliary President Francine Gregory. From the Department of New Jersey, Joy Treef is escorted by Commander Luddy Austin and Auxiliary President Denise Beckler. From the Department of New Mexico, Maria Garcia, escorted by Commander Brian Ravick and Auxiliary President Renee King.
You almost got it right.
From the Department of New York, Joseph Burke, escorted by Commander Daniel Kell and Auxiliary President Darlene Baker. Department of North Carolina, Michael McMahon, escorted by Commander Annie Cummings and Auxiliary President Sandra Jeffries. From the Department of North Dakota, Della Phillips, escorted by Commander Troy Fleck and Auxiliary President Nancy Christensen. From the Department of Ohio, Lydia Ball, escorted by Commander Carrie Pfeiffer and Auxiliary President Jessica Gardner. From the Department of Oklahoma, Lydia Kent, escorted by Commander Dan Fuller. From the Department of Oregon, Ashlyn Dalton, escorted by Commander Andrea Summerlin and Auxiliary President Deborah Dugan. From the Department of Pacific Areas, and specifically Guam, Haley Pangilinan, escorted by Commander Michael Lutman. She's good lady. She's sharp. From the Department of Pennsylvania, Benjamin Furster, escorted by Commander Barbara Lonkar and Auxiliary President Andrea Meintel. From the Department of Rhode Island, Grace Rochelle, escorted by Commander Mark Turner and Auxiliary President Stephen Doherty. From the Department of South Carolina, Kaylee Hannon, escorted by Commander Janet Chisholm Richard and Auxiliary President Donna Marie King. From the Department of South Dakota, Evelyn Ernst, escorted by Commander Glennis Collier and past National Council member Ross. From the Department of Tennessee, Addison Peary, escorted by Commander Eric Spurbeck and Auxiliary President Gail O'Neill. From the Department of Texas, Addison Taylor, escorted by Commander Robert Martinez Jr. and Auxiliary President Irma Solis. From the Department of Utah, we have Angelia Ford, who is actually across the river at a youth congressional summit tuning in herself, and escorted by Commander James Shepard and Auxiliary President Amber Silcox.
Yeah, they just had to be up front.
From the Department of Vermont, Ben Hordequin, escorted by Commander Scott St. Ange and Auxiliary President Sandra Pinsonault. From the Department of Virginia, Chris Kwan, escorted by Commander Mitchell Rubenstein and Auxiliary President Don Kuhn. From the Department of Washington, Elijah Sauer, escorted by Commander Perry Taylor and Auxiliary President Susan Gregg. From the Department of West by God, Virginia, Cadence Monchi, escorted by Commander Richard Ogden and Auxiliary President Jamie Crum. From the Department of Wisconsin, Grace Kreklow, escorted by Commander Ron Ramos and Auxiliary President Cheryl Woodard. From the Department of Wyoming, J.C. Clark, escorted by Commander Justin Tripp and Auxiliary President Jessica Bryant. Last one. And from Puerto Rico, Shanti Isaac, escorted by our VFW Adjutant General Dan West and our National Secretary Treasurer of the Auxiliary Ann Pantelikas.
Let's give all of our contestants a round of applause. I wish you all the best of luck tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, and our contestants, it is again an honor and privilege for me to call upon and introduce to you the Commander-in-Chief of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, Al Liphart, and National President of the VFW Auxiliary, Brenda Bryant.
We take a great deal of pride in knowing that our Voice of Democracy program has now completed its 78th year. Under our joint sponsorship, the program has continued to prosper. The Voice of Democracy program now awards 65 national scholarships for a total of $174,500.
Wow. Brenda now requests the VFW National Programs Committee Chair, Ashley Little, and the National VFW Auxiliary Scholarships Ambassador, Dina Hudson, to please come forward to announce this year's National Scholarship recipients.
We're going to the center of the stage again.
Are they ready? The program competition now provides 65 scholarships for the 53 department winners. The following national scholarships are all $1,000 scholarships. These awards are announced by name of the scholarship.
Please note that these $1,000 scholarships are announced in random order. I ask each student to come forward as they are announced for a photo with the Commander-in-Chief and National President. They will be given a citation to hold for the photo.
The Mr. and Mrs. John Bajetsky and the 2015 Homecoming Committee Scholarship, Pennsylvania, is awarded to Grace Kreklow, Department of Wisconsin.
Ready? We'll take a picture. The Commander-in-Chief Richard L. Eubank, 2010 and 2010-2011 Department Commander Scholarship, California, is awarded to Andrew Galt, Alaska. When do we need to start reading because we waited too long that time.
The Department of Mississippi, Toxie K. Stapleton, Post 6473, Luther J. Cox Memorial Scholarship, is awarded to Addison Peary, Department of Tennessee.
The Department of Tennessee Cooper T. Holt John Fergus Scholarship is awarded to Kaylee Hannon, Department of South Carolina.
The Ray Sisk Memorial Scholarship, California, is awarded to Gwendolyn Cressman, Department of Nevada.
The Department of Mississippi VFW and Auxiliary Bernard McClellan Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Madison Plant, Department of Arizona.
The Department of Idaho and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Addison Taylor, Department of Texas.
The Department of Hawaii and its auxiliary scholarship is awarded to Connor Comerford, Department of Kansas.
The Department of Florida John M. Jack Carney Scholarship is awarded to Maria Garcia, Department of New Mexico.
The Department of Nevada and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Marissa Zonnebelt, Department of Michigan.
The Department of Kansas and Auxiliary Robert R. Whipple Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Lydia Kent, Department of Oklahoma.
The Gilbert N. Nelson Post 1326 and their auxiliary Bismarck, North Dakota Scholarship is awarded to Jose Garcia, Department of Mississippi.
The Department of Maine Scholarship to remember the USS Maine is awarded to J.C. Clark, Department of Wyoming.
The Department of Pennsylvania Joseph L. Visites Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Emmett Juergens, Department of Iowa.
The Arthur W. Jones VFW Post 7564 and Auxiliary Scholarship, North Dakota, is awarded to Madison Gompert, Department of Nebraska.
The Roy Chandler VFW Post 762 and its Auxiliary Scholarship, North Dakota, is awarded to Lazlo Baumgardner, Department of Montana.
The Department of Wyoming and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Joseph Burke, Department of New York.
The $1,500 Department of Arkansas Nix Auxiliary Les Stone Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Ashton Jensen, Department of Minnesota.
The $1,500 Department of Colorado and Auxiliary Scholarship. What, we just read that, didn't we? Was that Lydia? I'm sorry.
You're right here.
Oh,
You're right.
I'm sorry. Is awarded to Lydia Ball, Department of Ohio.
The $1,500 Department of Massachusetts Edward A. Nardi Scholarship is awarded to Daisy Sweat, Department of Maine. Yeah, you're helping me out. You're figuring.
The $1,500 Department of New Mexico and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Haley Pangilinan, Department of Pacific Areas.
The $1,500 Department of Missouri and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Nolan Howe, Department of Connecticut.
The $2,000 Department of Connecticut Scholarship is awarded to Antoine Taylor, Department of Idaho.
The $1,000 Fridley VFW Post 363 and Auxiliary Scholarship, Minnesota, and the $1,000 Department of Michigan and Auxiliary Scholarship, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Joseph Martinez, Department of Illinois.
The $1,000 Juanita Crow Durbino, Department of Tennessee Scholarship, and the $1,000 Irvin and Lorraine Rothenbuehler Scholarship, Maryland, totaling $2,000, is awarded to Bailey Hodge, the Department of Kentucky.
The $1,000 All-American Post 284 Scholarship, District of Columbia, and the $1,000 Bernard J. Michaels Post 9610 and Auxiliary Scholarship, Florida, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Grace Rochelle, Department of Rhode Island.
The $1,000 Larry W. Rivers Scholarship, Louisiana, and the $1,000 Department of Illinois Scott Post 4183 Scholarship, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Samuel Dusick, Department of Indiana.
The $1,000 Department of Georgia R.D. Bulldog Smith Jr. Scholarship and the $1,000 Department of Ohio Chester J. Cook Memorial Scholarship, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Caitlin Stearman, Department of Arkansas.
The $1,000 Department of Alabama Scholarship and the $1,000 Department of Georgia James H. Sloppy Floyd Memorial Scholarship, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Chris Chin, Department of Virginia.
The $1,000 Mr. and Mrs. James H. Black Scholarship, North Carolina, and the $1,000 Jane Young Memorial Scholarship, Ohio, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Joy Treef, Department of New Jersey.
The $1,000 Walter and Doris Marshall Memorial Scholarship, Montana, and the $1,000 Southern Conference Scholarship, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Noah Lorenz, Department of Colorado.
The $1,000 Francis Tallman Memorial Scholarship and the $1,000 Robert A. Stock Memorial Scholarship, New York, totaling $2,000, are awarded to Elijah Sauer, Department of Washington.
The $2,000 Department of Kentucky and Auxiliary Brian Duffy and Marion Watson Scholarship is awarded to Ashlyn Rogers, Department of Louisiana.
The $2,000 Department of Wisconsin Wally Hogan, Tom Treadwell Commanders-in-Chief Scholarship is awarded to Caitlin Wright, Department of Missouri.
The $2,000 Department of Illinois VFW Ray Sodden George Kramer Scholarship is awarded to Cadence Monty of West by God, Virginia.
The $2,000 Department of California and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Rebecca Davis, Department of Georgia.
The $2,000 Department of Arizona and Auxiliary Harry A. Kost Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Julianne Davis, Department of Alabama.
The $2,000 Silver Springs Memorial Post 2562 Scholarship, Maryland, is awarded to Meredith Maxwell, Department of Europe.
The $2,500 Department of New Hampshire Scholarship and the South Carolina Auxiliary Jan Owens Past National President Combined Scholarship is awarded to Michael Hu, Department of California.
The $2,500 Past Commander-in-Chief Tim Borland, Past National President Jane Reap, and Class 2022-2023 Scholarship is awarded to Prishu Gare, Department of Delaware.
The $2,500 Daniel Sean Wallace Scholarship is awarded to Jackson Settle, Department of Florida.
The $3,000 Jesse A. Lewis Memorial Scholarship, California, and Stephen and Elsie Riordan Memorial Scholarship, New Jersey, is awarded to Shantai Isaac, Puerto Rico.
The $3,000 Joseph and Irene Hanson Memorial Scholarship, Maryland, is awarded to Michael McMahon, Department of North Carolina.
The $3,500 Class 122 Commanders and Department of Illinois and Auxiliary Scholarship is awarded to Evelyn Ernst, Department of South Dakota.
The $3,500 Department of New York and Auxiliary Reverend Albert G. Salmon Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Ashlyn Dalton, Department of Oregon.
The $4,000 Department of Minnesota William F. Halsey Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Amelia Borowski, Department of Massachusetts.
The $4,000 Department of Indiana and Auxiliary Scholarship and Department of New Jersey Howard E. Vander Kloot Scholarship is awarded to Angelia Ford, Department of Utah. She is not here to accept, so thank you for the applause on her behalf. I'm sure she's listening.
The $5,000 Rehoboth Beach Post number 7447 and Auxiliary Department of Delaware Scholarship is awarded to Makoa Arnett Cook, Department of Hawaii.
All right, for fifth place, the $5,000 Floyd County VFW 3281 New Albany, Indiana Scholarship is awarded to Benjamin Furster, Department of Pennsylvania.
Now, would the following department winners please come up to center stage? Department of Vermont, Department of North Dakota, Department of Maryland, and unfortunately, the state winner from the Department of New Hampshire was unable to be here with us in person today, but he's joining us in spirit as his video appears on the big screens.
It's okay, clap!
Hey!
Y'all ready? Here we go. He said, yes, ma'am. Isn't he cute? Fourth place, the $9,500 Leroy Moorhead Memorial Scholarship, named for the former heavyweight boxing champion George Foreman's late father, and Troy and Sandy Rothbart Memorial Scholarship, New York, is awarded to Ben Hortican, the Department of Vermont. Don't try to catch that.
Y'all ready? Third place, $15,000 VFW scholarship is awarded to Della Phillips, Department of North Dakota.
I'm trying to keep up the suspense and making you wait. The second place, $21,000 Charles Kuralt Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Caleb Smith, the Department of Maryland.
Real slow. How slow you want it? First place, $35,000. VFW TC Selman Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Tree View, Department of New Hampshire. Unfortunately, Tree could not join us due to an illness. He will join us shortly from his home.
You ready?
I'm back. It's a VFW tradition to present our Commander-in-Chief and National Auxiliary President with a Voice of Democracy jacket. In addition, we are presenting each of them a copy of a commemorative book containing the students' signed pictures and their essays.
This is my act. I'm following. This is my act.
You got too much help.
We're done? Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to take a moment to introduce a great friend of the VFW who's with us here this evening, Mr. Prasad Reddy. Will you please join us on stage? Die down. More than 3 decades ago, this gentleman completed his American naturalization ceremony and pledged to return the kindness, support, and encouragement he received from the VFW and auxiliary members who welcomed him to America with broad smiles and a copy of the U.S. Constitution. He has fulfilled that pledge tenfold as president and CEO of Twisted X Boots. Mr. Prasad Reddy continues to give back to the VFW and those we exist to serve. Most recently, signing Twisted X Boots on as a title sponsor for the Voice of Democracy and Patriot Pin winter trip. It is due to his generosity that all of our award winners are here in D.C. Also allowed them to visit the many attractions in our nation's capital. Prasad, thank you for being a valued friend to the VFW, and please accept this jacket and Commander-in-Chief medallion on behalf of our grateful organization, and also a special congratulations on the 20th anniversary of Twisted X. would you like to say a few words? The room is yours.
I did not prepare anything, but I don't have to prepare anything when I see all these young people, the future leaders of our country. It's really great that all the effort you have put into these essays. I've read some of them. It's hard to judge, and thank you all for participating. It's great. And what can I say about VFW, the organization? It's great that they say until every veteran's needs are filled, they do not sleep. That's a great organization. And I want to thank each and every one of you for the service you did for the country and keeping us all safe and peaceful here. And there's no amount of thanks that we can give that will fill that. And thank you very much for this honor special.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce our newest sponsor for the Voice of Democracy program, Loan Depot. Here with us tonight is National Director of Military Growth and Strategy, Brian Bergens, who is being presented with a Commander-in-Chief medallion. Oh, there he is.
The United States is in good hands with these young people right here, so I'm super excited. Thank you very much for coming.
I would like to invite the 2024-2025 national first place winner of our Patriots Pen Essay Contest to the stage to read her winning essay. Based on the theme, My Voice in America's Democracy. Evelyn Newbinging is the recipient of the $5,000 North End Post 144 Paul A. Spira Past Commander-in-Chief Award. Please welcome Evelyn, sponsored by VFW Post 12136 from the Department of South Carolina.
As a teenager living in the U.S., I'm starting to realize how important my voice is in our democracy. I believe democracy is about people having a say in important topics, and that includes me. Even though I am not old enough to vote, there are still plenty of ways to get involved and make a difference. My voice in American democracy means using my opinions, ideas, and actions to help shape the future for myself and others. Even though at my age I cannot vote, I can still advocate for the issues that matter to me. I can push for a change doing things like writing a letter to my local representatives, raising awareness through social media, or even starting a petition. By speaking out in such ways, I can ensure issues like climate change and mental health problems continue to be on the top of the list for discussion. There are so many ways to get involved at my age as well. I can join school clubs that encourage me to use my voice like student council, also volunteering in my community, or even just talking about what's going on in the world with my peers can help make a difference. Something I do need to keep in mind when advocating for something is that it isn't just shouting about what's wrong. It's also being part of a solution and encouraging others to do the same and care about things that matter. Having a voice in democracy isn't just a right, it's a responsibility. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in rumors or misinformation, especially on social media and in school when one thing leads to another. So being responsible on social media is very important. It is also important to fact check and understand the issues before coming up with opinions or sharing information. I've learned that everyone has a voice and that it's okay to change my mind when I learn new things, and that listening to others can help me see from different perspectives. In conclusion, my voice in American democracy is more about than just waiting till I'm old enough to vote. It is about speaking up for what I believe in, staying informed on the truth, and encouraging others to do the same. Even as a teenager, I can make a difference in the world around me. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. That was a fantastic speech. Now, although tonight's first place winner isn't able to join us, he did send along a message. Representing Manchester VFW Post 8214 and Auxiliary, the Department of New Hampshire, will now hear this year's winning essay, followed by a video from our first place Voice of Democracy winner, Trevu. While the photo is still on the screen, right?
Pursuing freedom, my family's journey, and the enduring vision of America. My family moved to America 12 years ago, seeking the very ideals of freedom and opportunity that this country was built upon. We arrived without knowing the language or understanding much about the culture of America. It was a daunting journey, but my parents made the difficult decision to leave behind their comfortable, though limited lives in Vietnam, sacrificing established careers, a familiar community, and family ties in order to give my brother and I the chance to thrive in ways they never could under the restrictive conditions of a communist regime. Their decision was not simply about improving our lives, but also about creating a future compatible with the freedom, justice, and opportunity that America stands for. Their decision was motivated by a desire for freedom. Freedom from a repressive regime in which individual rights were denied and corruption was not only common but established. Social mobility was restricted by uncontrollable factors, and connections and bribes frequently took precedence over individual merit. My father, in particular, would often share stories of working within this broken system. As an architect and engineer, he was forced to comply with unethical government mandates, such as using substandard materials for road construction so that government officials could pocket the excess funds. This disregard for the well-being of the people served as a constant reminder of the corrupted system we left behind. In coming to America, we left those compromises behind, seeking instead a land where fairness, justice, and opportunity, the very cornerstones of democracy, were protected. For my father, voting in the United States became one of the most powerful symbols of this new life. Having spent years under a regime where his voice meant nothing, the simple act of casting a ballot in a democratic election became the ultimate expression of personal freedom. Even in the face of challenges including long work hours, remote work locations, and long lines on election days, he was pleased and grateful for every opportunity he had to cast a ballot. This was his way of paying tribute to the nation that had accepted him not just as an immigrant, but also as a full-fledged citizen with rights and obligations. Voting, despite its seeming simplicity, represents the idea that our country's founders had a government by the people and for the people, in which every voice, no matter how tiny, matters. The country our founding fathers envisioned was one in which people could practice their own religions, express themselves freely, and have an active role in determining the course of their country. Due to the success of this method, our family decided to utilize the idea of government for the people in our everyday choices. For example, in order to make sure that every family member's opinion is heard and taken into consideration when making important decisions like purchasing a car or establishing financial plans, we employ democratic methods, voting and group decision making. With this approach, we are able to achieve a balance between justice and practicality, which is similar to the democratic foundation upon which our country is built upon. America is not without its shortcomings, of course. Social unrest, structural inequality, and political polarization are only a few of the many difficulties it faces. Nevertheless, despite these problems, the fundamental ideas that make up our country, freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, the right to assemble, and due process, remain unwavering and serve as the cornerstone for advancement. In many ways, the imperfections of America today only underscore the importance of the democratic processes that allow citizens to address and improve these shortcomings. For my family, the freedoms we now enjoy are a powerful contrast to the limitations we left behind. The journey we have taken from a country where our voices were stifled to one where we are empowered to speak, vote, and participate is living proof that America still upholds the ideals set forth by its founders. In conclusion, America's core values of democracy, freedom, and opportunity remain true even if the country has evolved significantly since its founding. Based on my family's experience, I can state with confidence that America still embodies the ideals of our founding fathers, a nation where everyone has the opportunity to follow their ambitions within a system that protects their rights, regardless of background.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tri Vu, and I am the Voice of Democracy representative for the state of New Hampshire. First and foremost, I want to express my deepest gratitude for this incredible honor. It truly means the world to me to be named this year's Voice of Democracy National winner. Unfortunately, due to being sick with the flu, I'm unable to be there with you in Washington, D.C. to celebrate in person. Please accept my sincerest apologies for not being there. To the veterans of foreign wars and everyone involved in organizing this scholarship program, thank you. Your dedication to uplifting students and encouraging civic expression is invaluable. This opportunity has given me not only a platform to share my voice, but also a deeper appreciation for the sacrifices that our veterans made in defending our democracy and freedoms. I also want to extend my thanks to my local VFW Post 8214 and especially Miss Cuddy. Your encouragement made all the difference, and I could not have done this without your help. To my school, Manchester Central High School, and especially my English teacher, Miss Sears. Thank you for bringing this competition to my attention. Without you showing the way, I might never have had the chance to be here celebrating this accomplishment. To my grandma, aunts, uncles, cousins, brother, and friends, thank you for always being there for me. Your encouragement and belief in me have been a constant source of strength, and I am forever grateful to have such wonderful backing behind me. And most importantly, I want to thank my parents. Your sacrifices and unwavering support have shaped every step of my journey. Your resilience, love, and teachings have given me the motivation to chase my dreams, and I would not be who I am today without you. For my final words, I want to congratulate my fellow state winners. Your voices and your stories are what makes this program so meaningful. It's a privilege of mine to be recognized among such talented individuals. And once again, I am deeply grateful for this recognition and for everyone who has backed me along the way. Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Thank you, Tree. That was a outstanding essay. I congratulate you and all of tonight's winners. Ladies and gentlemen, remain at your seats until all the students have left the room. Students, please file to the aisle and join your prospective department commander and auxiliary president. This concludes our scholarship program for 2025. Please feel free to join the department officers in congratulating all these wonderful students. Again, they will be available for the next 30 minutes for photographs. Thank you for joining us this evening.